Look at your life right now. If it feels like things just got fundamentally harder in 2026, like your money literally disappears faster than ever, your energy is completely shot by 3 p.m., and honestly, no matter how hard you hustle, you're always 2 steps behind. Listen to me. I need you to hear this loud and clear. That is not in your head. Something actually shifted in the background of our economy, and pretty much nobody out there is explaining it clearly. Right now, looking at the landscape here in the US, there are really only 2 types of people. There are those who are just getting crushed silently, and those who are quietly adapting to these new rules and winning. Let's make sure you're the second one.
I really want you to internalize this hard truth right up front. You are not crazy. Seriously. We live in a culture that kind of constantly gaslights us, right? It tells you that if you're struggling, well, you just aren't working hard enough. You open your phone and you're bombarded by these feeds showing everyone else seemingly thriving. But the underlying mathematics of daily life, they've shifted. The rules of the game were completely rewritten while we were all distracted. So that overwhelming feeling you have of constantly falling behind, it's not a personal failure. It is a mathematically verifiable reality for millions of Americans right now.
Just think about your daily reality for a second. Disappearing money, constant, heavy exhaustion, zero forward movement. You get paid on a Friday, and honestly, before the weekend is even over, just basic survival has eaten it all up. You're putting in longer hours, but your savings account is somehow moving backward. You're physically and mentally drained, yet when you look at your actual trajectory in life, you're basically standing completely still. It's this profound, deeply draining cycle.
Before we continue, grab a piece of paper and a pen. Seriously, pause if you need to. By the end of this explainer, you're going to write down a few steps that can actually change your situation. We aren't just here to complain about the economy. We are here to systematically dissect it and give you the actual tools to break out.
Okay, so to really understand how we got here, we've got to track the escalation over the last few years. Think back to 2020. Life was defined by uncertainty. Everything just paused. Then, we moved into 2022, and life just became incredibly expensive. Inflation spiked, supply chains completely broke down. But now, in 2026, the word isn't just expensive anymore. The word is tight. The entire economy has constricted. Life feels completely tight, not just in your wallet, but in your mind. There's basically zero margin for error anymore.
The invisible forces that are actually causing that tightness come down to what I call compressed pressure. First off, prices are up, and spoiler alert, they stayed up. That old narrative about transitory inflation, that's dead. High prices are just baked into the system now. Second, salaries are flat. Your income hasn't even come close to keeping pace with the new reality of rent, groceries, and energy. But it's the third force that is the silent killer here. Your attention is now your most expensive resource. Literally everything in our modern world is ruthlessly fighting for your focus. So the compression happens because you have way less purchasing power, but your environment demands exponentially more of your mental bandwidth.
And that all boils down to one incredibly dangerous state of being: mental fatigue without visible progress. When you're constantly reacting to a system that demands your attention but doesn't increase your compensation, you aren't really living anymore. You're just reacting. You work relentlessly, but you feel completely stuck. You try so hard to get ahead, but you don't move forward. This specific combination right here, exhaustion without advancement, is the defining danger of this new era.
Which leads us directly into this invisible snare that most people don't even realize they're caught in. I call it the coping trap. See, you have been trained to cope with this economy, not to control it. Just think about the messaging we're constantly bombarded with. Budgeting apps that help you meticulously track every single penny as it evaporates. Productivity hacks to squeeze, 4 more hours of work out of an already exhausted brain. Motivational videos yelling at you to just grind harder. All of these tools are explicitly designed to help you survive the system. Not a single one of them is designed to help you actually change your position within it. So, most people are just stuck running on a treadmill. They're using those budgeting tricks and time management hacks, desperately trying to outrun inflation and flat wages. But you're just running faster and faster while staying in the exact same place. Here's the harsh reality of 2026. The system does not reward the people who run the fastest on the treadmill. It disproportionately, almost unfairly, rewards the people who figure out how to step off of it entirely and build real leverage.
So what's actually going on out there? If the old rules are entirely broken, what are the new ones? Well, playing out right beneath our noses are the 3 hidden games of 2026. The people who are winning right now deeply understand that reality has split into 3 distinct battlegrounds. The first battleground is the money game.
You absolutely need to understand that cash is losing value far faster than most people realize. If your only strategy right now is saving money in a traditional bank account, you aren't playing it safe. You are guaranteeing a slow, steady loss of your purchasing power. Second is the attention game. Like we mentioned earlier, your focus is actively being harvested and monetized right now. If you don't fiercely protect your attention, someone else is going to profit from it. And finally, the leverage game. This is the big one. This is the ultimate divide between the silent winners and everyone else.
To win, you have to realize just how fractured your attention has become. Your brain is essentially being sliced into a dozen pieces every single hour. It's hijacked by AI-driven notifications, doom scrolling on social media, the endless 24/7 news cycle, and the crushing pressure of the gig economy. The winners in 2026? They treat their attention like a multi-million-dollar asset. If you're freely giving away your focus to these digital drains, you are literally giving away the exact energy you need to build a way out.
And that brings us to the ultimate separators, the leverage playbook. The silent winners in our economy aren't working 80-hour weeks at a traditional job. They are deploying leverage. They use AI to multiply their output. They use content to build reach that works for them while they sleep. They build systems that automate the mundane, repetitive tasks. And they acquire or build assets that appreciate over time. Look, we all have the exact same 24 hours in a day. But by using these tools of leverage, their outcomes are just vastly different. This is exactly how you step off that treadmill.
So how do we make this actionable for you? Get your pen ready. The major pivot you need to write down right now is this. Stop motivating. Start positioning. Motivation is an emotion, and let's be real, emotions fade when you're tired. Positioning, on the other hand, is a structural advantage. You don't need to hype yourself up every single morning just to survive. You need to reposition yourself so the current of the economy naturally pushes you forward instead of dragging you backward. So here are the 3 mindset shifts to actually make that happen.
Shift number 1. You must stop thinking with an employee mindset and start thinking with an operator mindset. An employee fundamentally believes the only way to make more money is to trade more hours. But time is finite, right? You will eventually burn out. An operator, even if they currently work inside a company for someone else, asks an entirely different question. They ask, how do I create value that scales? They focus heavily on creating more impact per hour, not just logging more hours on a timesheet. They solve bigger problems that totally decouple their income from their time.
Shift number 2 is absolutely crucial in the digital age. It's the battle of consumption versus production. Right now, honestly, 99% of the population are professional consumers. They just consume endless videos, outrage news, and algorithmic content. But constant consumption builds dependency. It makes you entirely reliant on dopamine hits provided by other people. The winners? They produce. And it doesn't have to be massive either. It can be writing out your insights, shooting short educational videos, coding a simple tool, or even just creating a new workflow. Production builds leverage. Every single time you produce, you put a tiny worker out into the world that essentially operates on your behalf.
Shift number 3 directly addresses the burnout epidemic we're seeing everywhere. We've been sold this massive lie that you need 5 different side hustles just to survive nowadays. Driving for Uber, selling drop-shipped t-shirts, doing random freelance tasks online. All that actually does is scatter your energy. 10 distractions spread you impossibly thin and pretty much guarantee exhaustion. You do not need 5 mediocre side hustles. You need to build one singular thing that grows. One specialized, highly paid skill, one distribution channel, one automated system, one asset builds compounding value. Which brings me to this really hard truth. Speed is everywhere. Compounding is rare. Take a second and let that sink in. Everyone in 2026 is moving fast. Everyone is busy. Everyone is rushing around. But almost no one is letting their efforts actually compound over time. If you can be the rare person who just focuses on one asset, completely ignores the noise, and lets the math of compounding work in your favor, you become practically untouchable.
Let me be absolutely clear about this. And yeah, this might be a harsh reality check for some of you. The old way stopped working. It's dead. Going to school, getting a safe job, saving 10% in cash, and just waiting for retirement, that math simply does not add up anymore. Life feels harder right now because you're trying to play a modern game using a rule book from 1995. And the sad truth is, most people are just passively waiting. They're waiting for prices to magically drop. They're waiting for the world to feel normal again. It won't. But realizing that is actually your greatest advantage, because while they wait, you can adapt.
So, the final question you have to ask yourself today is this. Will you stay in survival mode or step into control? If life feels harder in 2026, good. That means you are awake. That means you're aware of the reality around you.
The gap between staying a victim of this compressed economy and actually adapting to win, that is where absolutely everything changes. Look at the notes you just took down. You have the shifts right there. You have the rules of the new game. The choice of how to play it is entirely yours.
If you found this breakdown valuable and you want more strategies, things that are simple, clear, and actually useful in today's tight economy, make sure you subscribe to Khalifa Invests. We build these explainers to decode all the noise out there and give you the actual blueprints for taking control. Because in this new world, deeply understanding the game is the only way you can possibly win it. Thanks so much for learning with me today, and I'll see you in the next explainer.